What's going on? Dylan Conrad, Metabolic AF. Today I'm going to talk to you about unlocking the secret to hormone balance. Game-changing hacks for your lifestyle, for your menstrual cycle. Before I end that, if you're watching on YouTube, please like, subscribe, turn notifications on Spotify, iTunes. Hit that bell button, leave a review. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can obviously see I have a different setup today. I'm using my mic just because the quality of the other mics is so shitty. So I hope that everyone listening to this on Spotify can appreciate that, or iTunes, whatever it is you're listening to it. All right, so I covered part one, which was setting up strength, HIIT, and cardio for your menstrual cycle. So if you haven't listened to that, I'd probably go back, listen to those. You could also listen to them out of the order, but I might refer to some things in the first part in this episode. That was number one. Number two I went through is setting up your macros, your protein, carbs, and fats for your menstrual cycle. So as we reviewed last time, there's two different phases of the menstrual cycle, the follicular and the luteal, and a lot of different things with your hormones are going on. So changing up your nutrition, your macros, changing up your workouts is going to be ideal, right? For really exacerbating and optimizing your hormones further. Talked about a million times, fat loss, muscle building, the hierarchy, hormone optimization, recovery. Then we're looking at calorie intake, then we're looking at protein intake. Then we're looking at carbs and fats balance. Then we're looking at exercise. And then we're looking at food typology. So you can see those first two things, balancing your hormones for whatever your results are. That's going to be key. Okay. So yeah, so really that's why this is so important to understand the hormonal fluctuations between the first and second phase of your menstrual cycle, exactly what's going on, so you can really leverage that to lose more body fat, to build more muscle, to get healthier, to overall just feel better and more energetic. Because obviously in the second part of your menstrual cycle, you feel like shit. So there's a lot of things you can actually do to offset that. And I'm actually going to dive in. So stay to the end. I'm going to dive in some supplements that have been really, really great for my clients during their menstrual cycle. So let's get into it. All right. So let's go into the phases of the menstrual cycle. Again, two main phases. So there's the follicular, that's day 1 through 14, quote unquote. Obviously, it's going to be different for each person. And then 14 through 18. The ovulatory phase is days 14 through 16. This is where you ovulate, your body temperature increases a little bit, your metabolism increases a little bit. That's why a lot of women, like my wife, when we were trying to get pregnant, she was taking her temperature every single day to see when she was ovulating, because that would go up, her body temperature would go up when she did ovulate, right? So that's how you can kind of measure that part if you want to see exactly when you ovulate. And then, yeah, so we got the menstrual phase, which is actually when you're bleeding. That's going to be 1 through 5. Days 1 through 5, which is part of the follicular phase, which a lot of people are like, wait, I feel like shit still when I'm bleeding. Why is that still part of the follicular phase? Because your body actually is insulin sensitive. You're stronger at that period. So I know you feel like shit. It's kind of like those Whoop bands. Like sometimes I'm like, I feel horrible, but my Whoop bands tell me I slept amazing and like I'm ready to like push today, but I feel horrible. It's kind of the same idea there. So that's a lot of feedback I get from a lot of women that we coach. Key hormones, right? We're looking at estrogen, progesterone. Those are going to be basically inversed for the phases. To like, obviously it's estrogen is going to peak during the follicular phase. That's when it's highest. That's going to increase your mood. That's going to increase your energy. And then progesterone rises. Basically the opposite happens. So estrogen goes down during that luteal phase. And this is what really prepares your body for pregnancy. And this is what affects your mood and your sleep, right? So let's go through the lifestyle adjustments for each phase. So let's go through the follicular phase. Actually, let's go through the menstrual phase, because I feel like that is a sub phase in itself, because like you still kind of feel like shit when you're bleeding. So let's go through those day 1 through 5 first. So nutrition, overall foods, you want to stick with more anti-inflammatory foods. Maybe add some turmeric and ginger in there to help with the anti-inflammation. And then you want to focus on iron-rich foods. So these would be like your spinach, your red meat. This is for iron. This is for, obviously, you're losing blood. So this will help optimize that, okay? Exercise, you can, if you're doing strength, HIIT, and cardio, I kind of went through that in the first episode, but you can actually push at this part, right? Yeah, you're bleeding, but like you're going to be stronger. You're actually going to be able to push weights heavier, but you still want to add in some light walking, some yoga, some light activities. Okay. This 1 through 5, you really want to prioritize your sleep and your rest and your relaxation. So if you don't have things like a sleep routine, if your cortisol bell curve, I think I went over that a couple episodes ago, but if it's kind of like jacked up, like again, you should have a smooth increase in stress and a smooth decrease as you wind down the evening. So if you're doing things like checking emails first thing in the morning and checking social media first thing in the morning, you're having coffee right when you wake up, you're going balls to walls, and you're not having like a gradual buildup to stress, and then you're like, you have poor time management, and so your day is just like fight or flight, and you're redlining your cortisol, and then you just watch TV until you go to sleep and you have no sleep routine. You want to change a lot of those habits. So how do we do that? Well, I think the lowest thing that you can do, the easiest thing, is just shutting electronics off 3 hours before bed. No cell phone, no emails, no social media, no TV, read a book, wind down 3 hours, and maybe implement a contrast shower, like 45 seconds as hot as you can, or start with cold. 45 seconds as cold as you could take it, 45 seconds as hot as you could take it, alternate back and forth for about 4 to 6 rounds. So this is where you really want to really get dialed in on your recovery and your rest by getting in a nice gradual bell curve on your stress levels and your cortisol, okay? So that's the menstrual phase. Let's go through the follicular phase. So in terms of what you're going to be looking at, you do want to increase your vegetable intake. You want to increase, obviously, I already talked about proteins, kind of how they are across the board. I would either keep them the same or bump up a little bit in this phase because you are going to be training harder. But also it depends on how your cravings and your satiety is in the second phase. So typically for our clients, we just actually keep it the same across the board. So 0.6 to 1.1 grams per pound of body weight per day. Okay. You really want to obviously prioritize your healthier fats. So, your nuts, your avocados, stuff like that, you really want to prioritize in your diet, okay? Exercise, this is our push week, right? So this is our push weeks, rather. And so this is a time that you can really push the intensity, push the weights, do heavier compound movements like squats, deadlifts, bench press that take more out of the nervous system, and you can really start prioritizing those there, okay? Mindset, so you have a lot of energy, you have a lot of creativity. This is a really good time to set some goals and to really do some big picture planning for the month, because this is when you're gonna be the most motivated here, okay? When you set those goals, make sure they're focused on habits, because when that motivation slips down the luteal phase, if you don't have the habits dialed in, you're depending on motivation. That's why everyone fails, right? Depend on motivation rather than the habits they have, okay? So then we have our ovulatory phase, because this is when you ovulate. Just continue with like your balanced macros. You're gonna start changing your macros here. So this is when you're gonna go up to 35% to offset the effects from the insulin resistance. Okay, so that's what you're gonna do there in terms of your nutrition. In terms of just kind of overall life and your lifestyle and what that should look like during this, this is actually where you really want to just kind of like prioritize more of work life and social life, and just like you're gonna have really sharp communication skills and just like really clear thinking at this point. So like this would be ideal to really have important meetings or speaking engagements or whatever it is, or just communicate with friends and just be social during that period, because that's where you're gonna feel the best in that regard, okay? So that's the time where you can be more social, you can plan more things for your work, where you're communicating and you're more focused, more sharp, okay? That's right when you ovulate. So luteal, this is where you start feeling like shit, okay? This is where we wanna start. I recommend putting chocolate at the end of each day, just to offset that cravings, just to heighten your mood. There's also magnesium. It's magnesium rich, so that is actually good for your cycle at this point. And this is where you want to start either deloading or decrease intensity, which I went over in the exercise part. But self-care is gonna be huge, okay? Your stress level, your balls to the walls, you're not gonna be feeling great. So this is where you really wanna focus on relaxation activities, increasing your steps, your walking, meditate, deep breathing, just making sure that you're really getting not just deep sleep, but really restful sleep, right? So really dialing in even tighter that sleep routine, getting that morning routine going, so you're not checking social media and emails for like an hour or two after you wake up, and not having your first cup of coffee until later as well, okay? That's going to be key in terms of overall lifestyle. Sleep is going to be huge. I can't say this enough. 7 to 9 hours And then basically, if you're someone who has really bad PMS symptoms, this is where, mindfulness, journaling, actually spending some time in nature barefoot would be a really good idea. So let's talk about some supplements, okay? So most popular we're looking at are magnesium, B6. Obviously, consult a professional, as always, whenever you take on a supplement regimen. Omega-3s and zinc, okay? These all really help support hormonal health during all phases of the cycle, okay? Some more herbal remedies, some more herbal type things. You're looking at primrose oil in the evening, chasteberry, and these really help with PMS symptoms as well. So those are like two that I really like if you have heavier PMS symptoms, okay? Make sure you're tracking your cycle, okay? There's a ton of apps. You can journal, you can just see, and this will allow you to really anticipate when you're going to have your changes in energy, your mood, your macro need, when you're going to switch your training program up. That's going to be key there. All right. So that's basically it. So this is more of like the lifestyle part 3. I tell everyone it's 80% diet, 20% training, 100% mindset and lifestyle. And what changes your lifestyle, what changes your mindset is habits. Okay. So one thing I do want to leave you on is habit stacking. Research shows if you focus on just one habit at a time, get that down, stack it, you're gonna have a lot higher success rate and getting that habit down long term. But also in terms of getting that habit down right then and there, making you feel accomplished, giving you some momentum. So maybe the fat loss isn't happening that week, or you're not as strong that week, you still have that momentum like, oh, I won on my process. And once you become process oriented in a quote unquote growth mindset, your results are gonna come. When we start focusing on the end result and we lose focus on the process, that's when we're kind of fucked. All right. So hope this helps. Love y'all. Enjoy this episode. Please forward to a friend. And if you're looking for this all DFY, DM me on Instagram at Dylan A. Conrad, Metabolic AF for more information on my one-on-one coaching, Metabolic as Female Method. Love y'all.